Sugandhim pushtivartanam Urvarukamiva bandhanam Mrityormukshiyamamritat.
Welcome to Ayurveda and Spirituality with your host, Alakananda Ma, a renowned Ayurvedic expert and a graduate of a top London medical school. She is the principal of Alundi Ayurveda Gurukula, a unique apprenticeship-style school in Boulder, Colorado. She is a spiritual mother, teacher, flower essence maker, and storyteller. Join us as we uncover the timeless principles of Ayurveda, discover practical tips for enhancing vitality, and explore the deeper dimensions of spirituality that intertwine with the ancient science of life. Today on the podcast, we are sharing a recording from the archives.
Shanti. Seeing each one of you inseparable from baby Krishna, I come to you as your loving mother and most humble devotee. Welcome, my baby gods. Our topic tonight, Earth in Crisis, Meeting the Challenge. What none of us really ever wants to do is what we just did in the meditation we shared together, where we began by connecting with just one place on Earth, somewhere that isn't abstract because we've been there, somewhere we used to love until all these things happened to it. And then we expanded our view to include the other places in our land, and eventually to take a moment to be aware of what is really happening to our Mother Earth. It's something very hard to do because it's an overwhelm factor, and so we would rather ignore or deny or hope that space people will come and solve the problem, or whatever strategy we have for not really facing it. But when you do get that sense of an overwhelm or a depression because it's all too much, you can use the technique that we just used. It's called Tonglen, or sending and taking, breathing in all the pain of the destruction of the earth that is so ongoing, and breathing out healing, peace, love. It's a very simple technique, and it actually helps us to internally process those feelings so that we can relate in a healthy way, rather than just by going into the overwhelm, which then leads to apathy or to great anger, and then we can go burn down ski resorts or something. We want to relate in a healthy way to what's going on with our earth. How did it get to this state? New for some of you and familiar to those of you that came to Thursday's talk, or when we did that talk last time. 4,000 years ago, we made an abrupt break with the Mother. We've been looking at a 4 ages model, the age of Taurus from 6 to 4,000 years ago, the age of the Great Mother and of the fertility cults, the age of Aries, the age of the father, the age of law, the age of the clan and the family coming out and individuating. Starting 2,000 years ago, the age of Pisces, in which we've been living, the age of the sun, and then, as we discussed before, just dawning, the age of Aquarius, a time of a new sense of altruism and collective responsibility, collective energy. So as we've discussed in these other talks, there was something about the way that we entered the age of Aries. The age of Aries is ruled by the planet Mars. With the sword of Mars, we cut, and we violently cut ourselves away from the bosom of the Great Mother. And it is as if we took the clay figurine, the terracotta figurine of the mother with her big belly and her heavy breasts, which have been the icon of worship for thousands of years, and we smashed it. And now we have to start to pick up each of these pieces, and we put them together, not to make the same old figurine of long before, but to make something that is new. When we broke with the mother, everything that is of the mother became taboo, became driven into the unconscious. As we said before, that includes women, sexuality, food, love, intimacy. One of the things that includes is the earth. So at that time already we began to break our relationship with the earth, to drive our relationship with the earth and her fertility and her abundance into the unconscious, as it became in some ways taboo. With the age of Aries came the dominator paradigm. It is the age of horse and chariot. It's the age when weapons of iron were forged. I remember having the great good fortune to be able to go to the Archaeological Museum in Jerusalem, where we can see the Hebrew people themselves were still living in the Stone Age. They have very simple things. There were simple Stone Age nomad people, but the Phoenicians at this time had already forged terrifying helmets, swords, and spears of iron. And in fact, Aries rules iron, and this is the age of weapons of iron and chariots and the beginning of armies and the beginning of conquest. So it is the time when we began to see land no longer as the place where we dwelt in the bosom of Mother Earth, but something that we could own, conquer, fence, dominate, and control. It began all the way back then. And it has only continued from that moment. We've continued this sense of relating to the earth in terms of the dominator paradigm. As we discussed on Thursday, the further we go from the age of the Great Mother, the longer these archetypes are repressed into the unconscious, the more dysfunctional our relationship with them becomes. So now, 4,000 years later, we have become very separated from our mother. Separated enough that some of us are beginning to realize that maybe we need to find a way back. About a quarter of a century ago, I had the opportunity to be in Western Nepal. At that time, foreigners were not allowed there because it was so underdeveloped. The Nepalese government was ashamed of it. But the guards at the border post didn't even know they weren't supposed to let us in, so they let us in. And the only other Westerner there in that province was a woman who was a forester. She was doing volunteer work on reforestation. And what she said to me, and I've never forgotten it, was, what we need in Nepal is not more foresters or more forestry projects. It is more sacred groves. Because when the people who are so short of energy and so overpopulated go out to gather firewood, which is the cause of all this deforestation in Nepal, they won't cut down the mother's sacred grove, where the terracotta figurine of the mother and all her terracotta horses around her are. Because they still feel connected to the mother's sacred grove, but any tree that hasn't been defined as the mother's sacred grove, they will keep taking wood from it so they can cook their food, heat their homes in the chilly mountain winters. the cold monsoon nights. And so the land is becoming deforested, like my friend said, not from a lack on our planet of knowledge of techniques of forestry, not from a lack of tree seedlings, but from a lack of sacred relationship. Where the people have sacred relation, they will not cut the forest. So that's a very interesting understanding. So I don't know if I really need to elaborate greatly to this group on where we have got ourselves. Our oceans and our rivers are polluted. We are now realizing that fish cannot endure parts per million of petroleum products, which are being given not only by oil tankers sinking, but just from what's being discharged from ships as they travel back and forth across our oceans ever since we gave up on the sailing ships, which sailing vessel. It's total renewable energy, and you can still cross the Atlantic in a week in a properly designed sailing vessel. It's not just a big oil slick. The fish cannot stand parts per million of the pollution that's going into our ocean, which we have no idea how to clean up. The rainforests that are shrinking. I had such a personal experience of this, again, a quarter century ago in Goa. There was a beautiful little grove, like a small jungle by a spring. It was such an amenity for the people of the city of Mopsa. They would go there for picnics and to relax on the weekend. We would go there to hang out by the spring and fast, and it was so beautiful. And we went back there, and it was nothing but stumps. Someone had come in and clear-cut the people's beautiful grove. And now there was no one from the people in the town of Matsa and the shanty towns around to go to enjoy such an amenity. This is going on all the time, and I think we're all very aware of what we're doing. Our carbon emissions. As again, you probably all know, we have yet to see the effect of our current carbon emissions. It takes a decade or two for the carbon to reach the upper atmosphere where it will impact us. We have yet to see the full effects of what we have already done, or to speak of the fact that we're still not agreeing to cut our carbon emissions, and that America, the USA, hasn't signed the Kyoto Accord. Someone told me that Boulder, where I live, did sign the Kyoto Accord all by itself. That's why we're not allowed to use lawnmowers. We have to use push mowers. We have to mow all our lawns with push. Well, they can't force us, but they have incentives like bring in your pollution using lawnmower, and you'll get a rebate on buying a proper push mower. So we're trying at least to. Maybe Omaha could do that. You know, we have to go city by city because the federal government is not listening. Even after Hurricane Katrina. Everybody understands, right, about hurricanes. The warmer the ocean, the more hurricanes, the worse the hurricanes, the greater landfalls they will make. I heard this on NPR, so it has to be true. Meteorologists have been saying for 20 years, are you prepared for severe hurricane seasons that will start in the 2000s? Because we're telling you this is going to come. And of course, we didn't get prepared. We didn't even take care of the levees. We didn't get prepared because we don't want to believe it's happening. You probably also all heard about a paper produced by scientists commissioned from the Pentagon itself, which said that terrorism is not the threat. Global climate change is a much more severe threat to the security, safety, stability, and national interest than terrorism. In fact, terrorism is in many ways a result of global climate change. What happened in Afghanistan? A terrible drought, and the lack of help that the Afghani people received in the face of that terrible drought soured them immensely. When you have to see all your children dying of starvation because there's such a terrible famine, because other countries are doing the emissions that you don't even have the money to emit, how might you feel about those people? Many people in the Arab world are in those zones where drought and famine are already taking effect. As I sometimes like to say, Bangladesh today, the United States tomorrow. We're already heading in Colorado into another agricultural disaster drought season because everyone that depends on the South Platte is not going to be able to irrigate their crops this year because we didn't get the snowfall and the rivers are evaporating instead of melting down to provide the irrigation. So we're all aware that these things are going on, that they threaten our lives in many ways. And we're also aware that we need to find a new way of relating to the earth. We've also seen how our religions that have been through the paradigm of Pisces, have not tended to serve us in our relationship to the earth. And there are many people, especially within Christianity, who have become highly aware of this. Unfortunately, somewhere along the line, someone mistranslated a Hebrew phrase, and they said, have dominion over the earth. And then that went into the dominator paradigm, and people thought, okay, dominate the earth. You know, you look at the forest, you see lumber. Dominate the earth. It's not actually what the text says. To have dominion over the earth, as it's phrased in the Hebrew, means that we are the stewards. We're the farmer's got to take care of this big farm, or the gardener's got to take care of this vast garden. But as our religious paradigms moved through the age of Pisces, when there was so much duality, we got separated from the earth. Because part of the duality of the age of Pisces is that we separated matter from spirit. I think, therefore I am. We separated matter from spirit, and we started to see the earth as merely matter. As our powers of logic and reason increased, we lost the animistic view. When I go out into the forest, I don't just see trees. I see naiads sitting by the river. I see draiads sitting in the trees. I don't necessarily see them in physical form, but I'm very aware of these beings. I see flower fairies, little balls of light jumping around between the flowers. On the whole, as rational people, we've lost the ability to have this animistic view, to see the consciousness forms that inhabit our forests, our lakes, our rivers. So when we go there, we have matter and spirit separated, and this is just matter, so it's less. So not only do we not want to take care of it, we shouldn't love it. The religions we've now created for ourselves, the religions of spirit, alien from matter, are telling us you better not love that, because that would be covetousness, or that would be materialism, or that would be paganism. Pagans meant the pagani. They meant the country dwellers of Italy. And I've been in Italy, and it's still kind of that way in Italy. At every holy place, where once was a shrine of the Great Mother, of Juno, the mother, now there's a shrine to the Virgin Mary, and people get out there and they make pilgrimage and they do the holy water thing, and they're still relating to the sacredness of these places. because Christianity was so young when it came there, and it just transposed right on top of paganism, but it couldn't really wipe out paganism. But as we took missionary Christianity around the world at a much more mature form, we started to give people the idea that don't be pagan, don't relate to the earth and its beings, don't love the earth because it's merely material, and we're going to be taken up from here in a rapture and taken to a totally immaterial place, which is where we really belong. And we have done, perhaps Christianity is the biggest offender, but we have done this in all religions. I don't see a whole lot of Buddhists until very recently who are even aware of their bodies. You know, they sit for meditation for hours, but they don't go to yoga. It's just beginning now that people that do Buddhist meditation get to also do yoga and actually relate to the body and taking care of the body. And in Judaism, the understanding of kosher can mean that since there mustn't be a single bug on your lettuce, because it's really, really not kosher to eat bugs, so someone else washes and checks and packs your lettuce for you, and your lettuce is shipped from California to the East Coast, where the Orthodox people wash and pack it, and then it's shipped back to wherever you are, in Omaha or Colorado, wherever you are, and then you eat it. Kosher means fit. Well, this kind of thing may be technically fit, but it is not truly fit. So just as we have people in Christianity who now want to start to get into a more earth-centered spirituality, we also now have Jewish people talking about eco-kosher. If it's not good for the earth, it's not kosher. So what we're going to look at today is to try to step back and see, in the age of Taurus, in the age of the Great Mother, how did we relate to the earth? And how can we come back and reconnect with this? So we're going to spend some time now to look at the Vedic view of the earth. We're going to step back and look at a very ancient religion. The Vedas are the world's most ancient scriptures. And they date back to a time when matter and spirit were not separate, when God and human beings were not separate. In fact, Raimondo Panica, a Catholic theologian who did this translation I'm going to read, calls this a theandro-cosmic view. Theos, God; andros, man; cosmos, the creation. All of these are seen as a whole. And it's a very positive kind of spirituality. It's not about guilt. It's not about giving things up. It's not about being happy later on in heaven. Something that's very universal about the religions of the age of Taurus and our most ancient traditions is that they have little or no concern for a heaven we will find after we die. They are fundamentally concerned about the goodness of the life we live now. You will find this in both Hebrew scriptures as well as Sanskrit scriptures. You get back ancient enough, the real point is the good way that we live now. So that the Hebrew word shalom doesn't mean some kind of ineffable peace. Shalom means fat cows and sheep and pastures and good harvests and your grandchildren gathered around you and plenty of wine and bees buzzing and making honey. This is shalom. At peace in the land, in abundance, having a good life now. So we're going to read some verses and talk about some verses from an ancient Vedic hymn, the Hymn to the Earth, and try to see how we could, in some ways, find our way back to this much more holistic view of relating to the earth. Untrammeled in the midst of people, The earth, adorned with heights and gentle slopes and plains, bears plants and herbs of various healing powers. May she spread wide for us, afford us joy. To earth belong the four directions of space. On her grows food. On her the ploughman toils. She carries likewise all that breathes and stirs. Earth, may she grant us cattle and food in plenty. Bearer of all things, hoard of treasures rare, sustaining mother, earth the golden-breasted, who bears the sacred universal fire, whose spouse is Indra. May she grant us wealth. Her spouse is the thunder god. He thunders and the rain comes down and the earth bears forth all the beings. So I love this verse, sustaining mother earth, the golden-breasted. I find it very rich, the metaphors that are used for the earth in this hymn and throughout the Vedic tradition. The earth is seen in two ways. She is seen as the golden-breasted mother, and she is seen as the cow. So the woman, the cow, and the earth are synonymous. Women, do not take offense. There's something inside you that says, don't compare me to a stupid cow. Because for centuries you've been called a fat cow as a term of insult. It's not about this. We're in the age of Taurus. Cows are sacred. In fact, in the Code of Manu, in the hierarchy of crimes, the three worst crimes are to kill a woman, a Brahmin, or a cow. Why? Because if you kill the woman, you will kill her family, all the children who depend on her. If you kill the Brahmin, you will kill the source of teaching and guidance for a whole community. And if you kill the cow, you will kill an entire family whose nutrition depends on that cow. So that's why the cow is sacred. We now have the phrase sacred cow like it's some kind of weird taboo. The cow is sacred because she feeds us. She is sacred because she is not other than the nurturance and the abundance of our Mother Earth. And the woman is sacred for exactly the same reasons, because this is where we get our first food. Hopefully, unless some of us grew up in the 50s, back when bottles were in vogue, the first experience of everybody's life is the breast of the mother. Food, love, life, nourishment come from the breast of the mother. And it is Mother Earth who is the only one who feeds us throughout our entire life. I am a big listener to NPR Science Friday because I have a cook day on Friday, so I sit and cook and I listen to Science Friday. And the last time I listened, for the fund drive, they were playing an archived thing of Carl Sagan, talking about how we would go off planet because we would destroy this planet. We would go off planet and find ways to feed ourselves off planet or on other planets. This is not the spirituality here that we can use up our earth and move on. As long as any of us have ever known, we have been fed only by our mother, the mother cow, and the Mother Earth. So this is why earth is seen as the golden-breasted. It's also why, as long as we kill cows, there will never be peace on earth. This was said by a 300-year-old great yogi, Deoria Baba. As long as we are killing cows, we cannot have peace on earth because we are killing the mother love and the nurturance. And as long as we're killing cows, we're not respecting women. We have to respect these three together, the woman, the cow, and the earth, because this is all we know of nurturance, food, being born and sustained throughout our life. The earth who of yore was water in the oceans, discerned by the sages' secret powers, whose immortal heart, enwrapped in truth, abides aloft in the highest firmament, may she procure for us splendor and power. See how far this is from the way that we see the earth as a thing, as an object, as inanimate, as just a ball of rock, as something we want to get beyond, transcend, be taken up from. There is nowhere to go away from her, because her immortal heart abides aloft in the highest firmament. She is the manifestation of truth itself in the form of our Mother Earth. And she has been brought forth from the waters of the oceans, just like it describes in the Bible too. The waters are parted and the dry land is brought forth as a dwelling for us. Your hills, O earth, your snow-clad mountain peaks, your forests, may they show us kindliness. Brown, black, red, multifarious in hue and solid is this vast earth. Invincible, unconquered, and unharmed, I have on her established my abode. So in the Vedic tradition, you don't just go build a house. You know, I have friends that frame tract houses, right? They're all the same, and you frame them up real fast, and one moment is a nice vacant lot adorned with sunflowers, and then the bulldozers come in, and then the concrete is poured, and then the house goes up. First, in the Vedic tradition, you find that the center, the navel of where you're going to be, and there you have to honor the Vastu Purusha, the space being who owns that land. You have to honor the center, the navel, that space. There's a great deal of ritual and awareness that goes into establishing an abode. It's not just a machine to live in. It's the establishment of our abode within the earth. Impart to us those vitalizing forces that come, O earth, from deep within your body, your central point, your navel. Purify us wholly. Now this is amazing, because when we talk about earth, we speak of dirt. We speak of soil, and getting soiled and getting dirty. In this more ancient tradition, when you have been made ritually impure, you can purify yourself with a handful of the dust of the earth. In fact, to this day in Islam, if water is not available for the ritual ablutions, and many a time in Afghanistan or in Saudi, water would not be available, you may perform them with the dust of the earth. Because in this more ancient tradition, this is not dirt, this is purification. The earth is the one who purifies us. And then it says, the earth is mother, I am child of earth. Rain giver is my father, may he shower on us blessings. This is so important that we rediscover our real sense of being child of the earth. Her name in this hymn, her Sanskrit name is Bhu Devi, Goddess Earth. She is our only mother. We are all made from her. We all come from her. And then, it's very interesting, the earth on which they circumscribe the altar, on which the tall, bright, sacrificial posts are fixed before the start of the oblation, may earth, herself increasing, grant us increase. As I have read and studied this hymn and gone over this again and again, and I have realized something. The earth has one purpose and one purpose only. She exists as the locus of sacrifice. It says it clearly right here. She is here with a mission and a purpose. She is here to be the place where sacrifice is offered. And we, as human beings, have one purpose only. We are not Homo sapiens, we are Homo sacrificens. We are here as the priest of the sacrifice. It's very, very important. All creatures born from you move round upon you. You carry the two-leggeds, the three-legged, we'd call those six-legged, or the four-leggeds. To you, O earth, belong the 5 human races, these mortals upon whom the rising sun sheds the immortal splendor of his rays. Mother of plants, begetter of all things, firm, far-flung earth, sustained by Rita, by heavenly law, kindly and pleasant is she. May we ever dwell on her bosom, passing to and fro. O purifying earth, I you invoke. O patient earth, by sacred word enhanced. Again, by the sacred words of the chants of the sacrifice are what enhances the earth. Bearer of nourishment and strength, of food and ghee, O earth, we would invoke you with our praise. How many of us really think about chanting to the earth and praising her? This is a hymn to the earth. It's something that should be chanted every day in praise of the earth. Next bit, very important. Just thinking about that big strip mine in Arizona also. Whatever I dig up of you, O earth, may you of that have quick replenishment. O purifying one, may my thrust never reach right into your vital points, your heart. It's a very different attitude towards digging or to speak of mining the earth. Whatever I dig up of you, may you have quick replenishment. And just as I have murmas, vital points or acupressure points on my body that should never be injured because I might die if one of those is injured, may I be very careful, because if I dig in the wrong place, maybe I could injure one of your important acupressure points, and I don't want to do that. Nowadays we never think like that, isn't it? Peaceful and fragrant, gracious to the touch, may earth swollen with milk, her breasts overflowing, grant me her blessing together with her milk. Everything we eat, everything we wear is the milk that the earth gives us. Primeval mother, disperser of peoples, you far-flung earth, fulfill all our desires. Whatever you lack, may the Lord of creatures supply to you fully. I really feel that we need to return to this kind of sacred understanding of the earth, sacred relation. We need to return to these rich and full and positive archetypes that are here in the Vedas, where we feel this sense of really belonging here because the earth is our mother, and of really honoring her, like Mother's Day. And then it's tremendously important, this part, that what the earth is really here for is to be the location of sacrifice. The human heart is the place where time and eternity intersect. We are the priests of the earth. We are the only ones who can be here offering in sacrifice And according to these teachings, it is for this purpose that the earth brought us forth. In fact, according to these teachings, we all come from sacrifice. Originally, there was only one person, and that one person sacrificed himself to become the many. So every time we sacrifice, we are returning the sparks of that one primordial person back from the state of separation to the state of wholeness. As the Native American medicine man said to my mentor, Reb Zalman, every people has a fire and a drum. Earth is the place, is the abode of Agni, of the sacred fire. In fact, it is from the flint of the earth that we can strike Agni. Now we have other ways of making Agni, but originally we could make Agni, we could make fire only from the earth, from striking flint. So there's a very sacred relationship between earth and the fire of sacrifice. Everything by gravitational effect comes downwards, and fire only rises upwards. And it's immensely important at this time that we find our way back to work with fire and the sacredness of fire and the sense of, in some fashion, offering in sacrifice. And as human beings, there are different ways that we can offer sacrifice. They're all described in Bhagavad Gita. We can offer the actual ritual sacrifice. When we speak of karma yoga, initially when Bhagavad Gita was written and the teachings about karma yoga were brought forth, karma yoga meant actually doing sacrifices. It didn't mean going and doing social work or washing the dishes at the ashram. It meant performing sacrifices. These are the karmas. There's the sacrifice that we can make of the tapas that we do when we come, we do yoga, and we sweat. That's also a sacrifice. We're sacrificing something of our comfort and our laziness and our sluggishness to push ourselves a little harder, to sweat, to do the yoga. The sacrifice that we make in the pranayama, when we sacrifice the ingoing breath to the outgoing breath, because in pranayama we make the outgoing breath twice as long as the incoming breath. And that's the sacrifice. There's the sacrifices that we can make, very important for us now, in terms of altruism. Can we sacrifice some of our time, some of our money for others, especially for those suffering more than us? However much we suffer, the reality is there's always someone that's suffering more than us. So we can still always benefit ourselves by offering something to those people. The most important sacrifice is when we sacrifice Jivatman, the individual self, in the fire of wisdom to attain the oneness with the Supreme Self. And yet, although there are these many ways of doing sacrifice, I think it is helpful at this time that we engage in the actual rituals. Some kind of actual ritual that involves fire. At Alandi Ashram, we do a ceremony known as Agnihotra, where every sunrise and every sunset, in a pyramid-shaped copper pot, we light wood and cow dung, with a chanting of 2 brief mantras, we offer rice and ghee into the flame. And it's a very short ceremony, but what gives it its power is that it is repeated day after day, sunrise after sunset, sunset after sunrise. You keep going, and you're honoring Earth and her cycles and her turning on her axis, her relationship with the sun. You're honoring the earth through taking the things of the earth and offering them. It's said that the only thing that can nourish the gods is the fragrance of sacrifice. So it says in Bhagavad Gita that we really have to sacrifice, whether it's lighting your Sabbath candles, making a ghee lamp on your altar, learning how to do the Agnihotra. I'm not selling it. You don't have to take a seminar. It's pretty simple. You don't have to be special to do it. Whatever appeals to you. Some ceremony. We hit on the Agnihotra because you don't have to go study with a shaman for 20 or 30 years to be able to do it authentically. It's simple. It's being given to everyone. The teacher told us to do it. He told us this close to, more than a quarter century ago, and okay, we did it. We've been doing it ever since. We feel a great satisfaction connecting with fire and connecting with the sense of offering. But it's that sense that in some way we connect with ritual and with offering. However simple, whatever works for you. At least light a candle at the beginning of your day, or the ending of your day. Say a prayer. Think that you're offering something through holding a flame sacred. It's some offering to the earth, as well as the other kinds of sacrifice, like sweating in yoga, or doing a pranayama, or helping out at the soup kitchen. So it says in Bhagavad Gita how we relate to the earth. We know, it says, from rain comes food. From sacrifice comes rain. Thus do we honor the devas, the shining ones. Thus do we nourish the devas, and they in turn nourish us. Through some kind of sense of sacrifice, of ritual, of offering something up in the form of flame. Like I say, even if it's just to light a candle for a moment when you wake or before you go to sleep, offer some kind of a flame. The devas can feel that. They can smell that. And that's what encourages them to send the rain. Because they need to be fed too. This is the ancient understanding. We reach out to them with sacrifice. There was a terrible drought some years back, especially was going on the East Coast, and a group of Vedic priests got together in Maryland and they did a huge fire ceremony and they broke the drought. It really works. These are not superstitions, but they are ancient technologies for relating to the cycles of our earth. And then it says, whoever does not live on the wheel of sacrifice, thus revolving, is truly a thief, and their life is useless. In other words, and especially for everyone with boomeritis, which is probably most of us, a life that is lived for me, that is all about me, is the life of a thief. And at the end, we will know it. You know, no one on their deathbed ever really says, I wish I had more stocks or shares. I wish I'd gone to the office earlier every day. Nobody says that. I wish I'd watched more television. I wish I'd smoked more pot. At the end of our life, when our life is flashing before us, we're going to realize what was really important. And we're going to see, if our life was all about me, it was a wasted life. Because we are here, as this hymn says, we are here as the priestly people to see and appreciate this great and beautiful Mother Earth and offer what we see in some sense of sacrifice through human consciousness. So we have to situate ourselves on the wheel of sacrifice in whatever way works for us. I talked about some of the ways, that those are all valid sacrifices, but I also feel we've become so distanced from ritual and ceremony, we need to have at least a little bit of that in our lives too.
Thank you for tuning in to Ayurveda and Spirituality with Alakananda Ma. We hope today's exploration has ignited a spark of curiosity and insight within you. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a 5-star review and share it with a friend. For more enlightening discussions and practical wisdom on Ayurveda and spirituality, subscribe and join our Facebook group, Alundi Ayurveda. To allow us to continue sharing valuable content, consider donating to Alundi Ashram. The links will be in the show notes. Until next time, may you walk the path of Ayurveda with grace and embrace the light of spiritual wisdom in your journey.
Trayambakam yajamahe Sugandhim pushtivadano